Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, February 13th, 2017, big day for the Donald Trump administration. Steven Mnuchin was sworn in as the Treasury Secretary, and later in the day, Michael Flynn, his security advisor, resigned. Just 69 days earlier, his son was fired from the administration. Michael Flynn's son was also a part of Trump's administration before being fired for tweeting about Pizzagate, if you recall that story. So, anyhow, as I've been documenting, Donald Trump's cabinet is very much centered around the number 44. The first appointment he made or nomination was Reince Priebus for his chief of staff, the 44-year-old that the media has been saying is a man who is not qualified for the position. We'll talk more about him in a moment. Yesterday's date, February 13th, was the 44th day of the year. And again, Donald Trump is the 45th president in terms of the way they're numbered, but he's only the 44th person to be president. Just like how Obama was number 44, but the 43rd person. That's because Grover Cleveland had a split term. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd president and the 24th president. There was a Harrison between him. So the 25th president was the 24th person all the way up to the present, you see? So anyhow, yesterday, big news in the Donald Trump administration, the 44th person to be president. It was the 44th day of the year, February 13th, the day known as Lupercalia. Lupercalia has Gematria 44, and what Steven Mnuchin is known for is being the executive at Goldman Sachs, the firm that needed the multi-billion-dollar bailout to stay afloat at the end of the Bush administration. And I've been saying this the whole time. You know, Donald Trump is coming in to the U.S. government while the market is a house of cards. It's never been so high. But the reason it's so high is not because things are going well in this nation. You know, most people don't have full-time employment. Most people don't have much saved up. There's not too many people doing well in this society besides the very rich who benefit from the market being through the roof. And that's all part of a Ponzi scheme that will eventually collapse, and it will likely collapse while Donald Trump is the president, all part of the manufactured planned symbolism. Donald Trump, look at what he is, Mr. Bankruptcy. How many times has he needed the taxpayers to bail him out so that his business could stay afloat? Just like Goldman Sachs. Just like all these big banker tyrants who rule over us. You know? Remember, there's the hit TV show on Netflix called House of Cards. House of Cards. Donald Trump, the Trump card. I'm going to show you something about House of Cards at the end of this video as a bonus that I didn't plan before. But I want you to understand that what goes on a TV show such as House of Cards is no different than what goes on in a puppet White House presidential administration, a puppet federal government, which is what we have in the United States. Our government, the executive, the legislative, the judicial, it's all a show. None of those branches do anything. They do absolutely nothing but follow the orders of their banker tyrant masters who sit behind them in the shadows. And if you don't know that about your nation, then you don't know the truth of your nation. Your Congress, your government, they make no decisions. They just take orders, you know? As they've let us know, there's 500 lobbyists in Washington, D.C. for every congressman. And they all represent the big industry, the big banks. So on the 44th day of the year, we get this news. And when CNN first put up their story, they put it up at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Time. 74, number of the Freemasons. There's a 44-minute in there on the 44th day of the year. The word depression in Sumerian gematria also sums to 744. And, you know, we're already truly in an economic depression. We have been since the end of the 90s, the beginning of the post 9/11 agenda. Everyone's quality of life has gone down in the United States and many other parts of the world. Less wealth, less retirement, less insurance, less quality of life. But it's going to get a lot worse. And the reason it's going to get a lot worse is because the people of this nation haven't done anything about it. They've just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, what can I do? I'm just going to go to work and pretend like nothing's wrong. It's interesting that the number depression, or the word depression, has gematria of 744 in light of that post time. Because I'm telling you, that's what they're foreshadowing us with this puppet administration. Donald Trump, the orange Oompa Loompa, the moron, his cabinet full of Washington insiders, none of them with very impressive records, an executive from Goldman Sachs at the time they needed to be bailed out. He's now the Secretary of the Treasury. 74, that special number to the Freemasons, to this nation, which has a 7-4 birthday, a nation founded by Jewish banker tyrants, always run by Jewish banker tyrants. From the day he was nominated by Trump, which was November 29th, to him being sworn in yesterday was a span of 77 days. DC's on the 77th meridian. Judaism equals 77. Jew equals 38. Look at the coordinates of Washington, D.C. And of course, Mnuchin is a Jew, Jewish. CNN was sure to use a picture of him on an elevator. They keep showing shots of the Trump administration on elevators, including Donald Trump himself. Not entirely sure what they're trying to foreshadow with the elevator, but there's a reason that they keep showing Trump executives inside Trump Tower at the elevator. There's a wealth of photos CNN could choose to use, but if you follow the stories, they keep showing the Trump members in Trump Tower getting off this specific elevator. Remember, this building's 58 stories tall. Freemasonry equals 58. Secret Society 58. United States 58. Trump won the 58th presidential election. 58th inauguration, they hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray to do the ceremonies. So let me show you a little bit more about 44 in this administration. His name in simple English gematria sums to 167, the 39th prime number, 39, number of the Old Testament, which the Jewish faith goes by. Of course, Jewish people control the world of international banking. Trump representing New York. Everything in New York's 39 floors tall, including the Jewish front building, the United Nations, 39 floors tall. Of course, it was the United Nations, the Jewish front, that created the Zionist state of Israel. Everything about New York, 39. That's the short list. There's a million more. He's got the December 21st birthday in the year 62. He was 53 when he was nominated. He was sworn in with 53 votes. It's interesting that his last name also has the same gematria as Treasury. That's what he will be. Secretary of the Treasury. For a little more 44, the first nomination made by Trump was his chief of staff, Reince Priebus, the 44-year-old. CNN, true to form, quoting their headlines, Trump chooses top advisors. Here's Reince Priebus. The gematria of that headline, 104, just like chief of staff, which was the main point of that article. Remember, 7/4/1776, date with 104 numerology, has a USA right in the middle of the word Jerusalem, which has gematria of 104. USA established on a date with 104 numerology. Jewish banker tyrant nation, Jerusalem, 104. Reince Priebus, 44 years old, March 18th birthday. If you've never seen my video on 318, check that out. His name, Reince Priebus, perfect name, has gematria of 144, just like when you write out 44, it sums to 144. His full birth name in Pythagorean gematria sums to 137, like Washington, D.C. like authority. 137 is the 33rd prime number, federal 33, order 33, masonry 33, secrecy 33. His last name also has gematria 45, chief of staff for the 45th president. Truly the 44th person to be president. It's interesting that he also went to school in Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the state that when they declared it in favor of Trump in the early hours of November 9th, that's when they said Trump had officially won the election. Even though it's all rigged, they don't count your votes, it's just a show. Donald Trump was chosen to be the president probably when he was a small child. A lot of these presidents are born and bred to be. If you missed my mini videos on the rigged election of Donald Trump and all the predictive programming for him to become president, go back and check that out. You know what? There's one more thing I got to show you about not Reince Priebus, but Steve Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin, in addition to being the executive that had to be bailed out at Goldman Sachs, he also works in Hollywood, Talk about Jewish Masonic Zionist land. Anyway, he comes from Hollywood and Wall Street. The word wall has gematria 48. Wall Street, like Hollywood, equals 48. Like Illuminati equals 48. All Illuminati is the worldwide Masonic network. The name Donald Trump also sums to 48. Donald Trump, who ran on building a wall. This week, February 17th, the 48th day of the year, Hollywood is releasing the movie The Great Wall. A white actor about a wall in Asia. Matt Damon, the leading star in it. Reminds of Tom Cruise as The Last Samurai. Or Daniel Day-Lewis as The Last Mohican. Remember also, Donald Trump was announced as the 45th president on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall 45. It's all a joke, people. This is the New World Order agenda. By the numbers. The day of the appointment for Reince Priebus on the topic of 48 was November 13th. Which is the day that leaves 48 days left in the year. This was the date that Trump made his first appointments. Again, Donald Trump 48. That was also a date with a life lesson number of 33. 33 for federal, order, secrecy, masonry. 137, the 33rd prime, Washington, D.C., American Meridian Authority. Another good one is morals and dogma equals 137, the Freemason Bible written by Albert Pike. Albert Pike, the only Confederate war general from the South who has a statue in Washington, D.C. Morals and Dogma, 137, like Washington, D.C. That date Trump made his first nominations for his cabinet was 68 days before Inauguration Day. Matching his full birth name. Matching a fateful year for this country, 1968. Donald Trump's tallest tower is 68 stories. For another 44 for Trump was the nomination and now the appointment of Mad Dog Mattis to Secretary of Defense. Mad Dog in Jewish gematria sums to 96, like Freemason. The symbol of the Freemasons, the big G. Notice how big G equals 42, like Freemason. When you take all the numbers that divide into 42, they sum to 96. Number of the Freemasons. Anyhow, Mad Dog in simple English gematria sums to 44. Mad Dog was a Marine for 44 years before being nominated by the 44th person to be president, Donald Trump. The word military is 44, genocide 44, kill 44, execution 44. What's interesting is Secretary of Defense has gematria of 193, the 44th prime. How perfect for a 44-year veteran of the military named Mad Dog, The point to understand is that this is definitive proof of what really goes on with your government. You have all these puppet stooges, actors, controlled by the Jewish banker tyrants, and they just use these people to make news headlines. None of these people have any say in what's going on. They don't make war. They don't make laws. They don't do jack shit besides be the face of the shadow government. They are puppets. Your government has no authority. Your government has no control. The United States of America has never been a sovereign nation. It's always been a nation run by Jewish bankers. That's why the nation's controlled by the Federal Reserve, which is not federal at all. It's controlled by Jewish bankers. That's why you're told you can't speak out against Jewish people. It's anti-Semitic, even though these Jewish people are not Semitic at all. Look at this guy. Every time they show him on TV, pay attention. They call him James N. Mattis, which has the gematria of 144, just like when you write out 44. James Mattis alone, if you drop the N, sums to 130 like Washington. I'll link all these posts if you want to read the rest of the details. Also, yesterday, 44th day of the year, military advisor, Military 44, resigns after his son had been fired 69 days earlier. Here's the headline this morning from CNN: Flynn is gone, not the controversy. They code a nice little 144 in there. Just like when you write out 44, it sums to 144. It's also interesting that the two members of Trump's cabinet that got the headlines yesterday were Michael Flynn and Steven Mnuchin, both names having gematria of 59. 59 is the 17th prime number. Here we are in 2017. And all of these numbers are related to killing. Kill equals 17 the small way, 44 using the alphabetic order, 59 using Jewish gematria. And this Trump administration, I think it's here to really finish the nation as we knew it. This nation's always been a joke. It's always been a puppet show. But we're transitioning to something even worse. A lot worse. And I think Donald Trump, the Orange Oompa Loompa, is the man for the job. You know, I saw all this coming before Trump was even the president. That's why 3 years ago I started speaking out. That's why I quit my job, figured out a way to put out knowledge to try to wake the masses. So far it feels futile. I know I've reached a lot of you, but look how many people live in this nation. 300 and some million, and I got 40,000 subscribers. How pathetic is that? How pathetic is that? That's hardly anybody. That's practically no one. You know, launched this website in December trying to organize people. Out of the 40,000 people who supposedly follow me, 1,000 have joined the website. How pathetic is that? You know, the reason we're going to shit is because no one cares. And the reason no one cares is because the Jewish people have raised the masses through the television screen, teaching them to just worry about themselves, take care of themselves, fuck everybody else, you know. Be hopeless. You're just one pathetic individual. The best you can do in life is go buy a new pair of shoes or put some shiny wheels on your car. You know, this is where the mindset of America is. Just believe what's on the TV, worry about materialism, not pay attention, plus a million other things. I'll keep fighting Truth Seeker, but for all of you who get burnt out, you know, don't feel bad. If you just want to drop out of the truth-seeking race, you know, focus on something that makes you happy, don't feel bad about doing it, you know. You guys can quietly watch me wither away as an old man fighting for something that nobody gave a fuck about. And I know that's going to be my fate, Truth Seeker. I've been fighting since I was 18. Nobody still gives a shit. You know? It's a nation of morons, Truth Seeker. That's the truth. Really dumb fucking people. People that can't sort facts from fiction. People that can't see the obvious. Let's finish. Let's finish listening to the joke here. Let's listen to Mad Dog Mattis talk about, you know, why he's in military, what it's all about for him. Here we go. Here's Donald Trump's. Here's our Secretary of Defense.
Actually, it's a lot of fun to fight them. You know, it's a hell of a hoot. It's fun to shoot some people. I'll be right up with you. I like brawling.
In and out.
You see? There's your Secretary of Defense. He's in war because it's fun to shoot people. You know? Yeah, I don't know what to do, Truth Seeker. I mean, I've been spelling it out loud and clear for 3 years what's going on. Everyone still thinks it's a coincidence. You know, I got my own sister who's been able to witness my work for all this time, and she just thinks everything's a coincidence. You know, she thinks I'm mentally ill for pointing out the things that I point out. She thinks that's what mental illness is. And my sister's a typical American. Everybody's called me mentally ill since I was 18 years old. That's all everybody's ever called me for pointing out the lies of the society we live in. The new definition of mental illness, it should say, in America, mental illness is caring about the truth. You're mentally ill if you care about the truth. You're mentally ill if you care about being lied to. You're mentally ill if you see what's wrong with these tyrants who are said to be our leaders that we're supposed to salute and respect. These are all the signs of mental illness in America, you know. What you're supposed to do, if you're not mentally ill, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to just worry about yourself, you know. You're supposed to go out and worry about money and materialism. These are the things non-mentally ill people do in America. Clearly. Trust me, I know better than anyone because of the life I've lived, Truth Seeker. That's the way it is in America, you know. That's exactly how it is. If I showed this to my sister, she would just go, oh, that's mental illness. I've been trying to explain to my sister for years about all sorts of things, especially in the time I've been learning this stuff. My sister used to really care about black people because we grew up in the hood as the only white people around. My sister used to only date black men. Anyway, I tried to show her a couple years ago when I learned about it, the killing of black men by the numbers, and she just said, oh, Zach, that's all coincidence. And then I just even showed her how before the 59th Grammys, one of the numbers stamped on black people all throughout history, how the jazz musician with the 59 gematria dead just before the 59th Grammys. She even knows that I predicted Prince's death last year, and she says it's a coincidence. What's just so sad is if my sister and I were having a conversation in front of the eyes of the nation, they'd probably all nod and agree with my sister. Yeah, he's mentally ill for pointing out these things. So anyway, the reason I'm ranting about this is because it's Valentine's Day, and I want to give all of you truth seekers a little Valentines who are just fed up with fighting the good fight. I'm telling you guys, if you want to abort the mission, you know, don't feel bad, because there's not going to be any reward for fighting the good fight in this world. It's nothing but hate and being stereotyped and being dismissed and being made an outcast. And, you know, I can tell you all about it because it's the life I've lived. But I don't care. The reason I don't care is because I know what the truth is. The truth is my fellow man are a bunch of fucking losers that truly are mentally ill. What mental illness really is in this world is, you know, 98% of what you see in this country. People who don't give a shit about anything but themselves, who hate the truth. I mean, what could be more mentally ill? Living just for yourself, for ego. This is a mentally ill nation, Truth Seeker. And it's not you, the Truth Seeker, even though you've probably been called mentally ill by the mentally ill people. Alright, I gotta get back to finishing the book, you know, working hard on this book that no one will probably give a shit about. But I hope you truth seekers still get it. You know, I've been working hard for free for 3 years trying to put out the truth. And I'm almost dead broke, so I gotta finish the book, I gotta get it out, I gotta hope it sells. I gotta hope I'm wrong about everything I just said in the last 5-10 minutes, however long I've been ranting on for. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.